Deep inside your body, a silent negotiation is taking place, and you aren't even invited to the meeting. We often think of our cravings for chocolate, soda, or late-night sweets as a personal failing, a simple lack of willpower, or a character flaw. But modern science is revealing a much more complex and slightly unsettling truth. You are not a single entity. You are a walking, breathing ecosystem. Within your digestive tract reside trillions of microscopic organisms, known collectively as the gut microbiome. These aren't just passive passengers hitching a ride, they are active participants in your biology. They possess the power to influence your mood, your energy levels, and most importantly, your appetite. Tonight, we peel back the layers of human biology to understand the invisible puppet masters that might be pulling the strings behind your strongest desires. This is the secret world of the gut-brain axis, where the microbes in your belly send urgent signals to your mind, effectively commanding you to reach for that next hit of sugar. It's time to find out who is really in charge of your diet. To understand how a tiny bacterium can influence a human-sized brain, we have to look at the second brain, the enteric nervous system. This is a complex web of more than 100 million neurons lining your gastrointestinal tract. While it doesn't solve calculus or write poetry, it is incredibly sophisticated. It operates independently of the brain in your skull, managing the complex mechanics of digestion. However, it is in constant communication with your head via the vagus nerve, a massive biological superhighway. This connection is a two-way street. While your brain can send signals of stress down to your gut, causing that butterflies feeling, your gut is sending a non-stop stream of data back up. Microbes have learned to hack into this system. By producing chemicals that mimic human neurotransmitters, they can essentially email the brain. They aren't just digesting your lunch, they are sending status reports and occasionally demands for specific nutrients that ensure their own survival. When your gut flora is out of balance, these messages become loud, persistent, and focused on one thing: fuel. The human gut is home to a staggering variety of life, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, and archaea. In a healthy body, this is a diverse and harmonious community. You have the good guys, strains like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, which help break down fiber, produce vitamins, and keep your immune system sharp. But there are also opportunistic residents. These microbes aren't necessarily evil, but they are selfish. Different species have different dietary preferences. Some thrive on fiber from vegetables, while others are specialized sugar hunters. For example, certain strains of yeast and Prevotella have evolved to ferment sugar with incredible efficiency. In a balanced gut, these sugar lovers are kept in check by their neighbors. However, when the environment shifts, perhaps due to a round of antibiotics or a period of high stress, the diversity of your internal forest can collapse. When the sugar-loving species gain a foothold, they begin to dominate the landscape. They aren't just waiting for you to eat sugar, they are actively working to ensure you provide it, creating a biological feedback loop that can be nearly impossible to break through willpower alone. Sugar is the high-octane fuel of the microbial world. For certain bacteria and fungi, like Candida, sugar is the key to rapid reproduction and dominance. When you consume refined carbohydrates or sweets, you are essentially dumping fertilizer onto these specific populations. They feast, they multiply, and then they get hungry again, very quickly. These microbes have a vested interest in your diet. If you stop eating sugar, they begin to starve. In a desperate bid for survival, they release chemical signals that trigger intense cravings in the host. They can even manipulate your taste receptors, making healthy foods taste bland while increasing your sensitivity to sweetness. This creates a vicious cycle. The more sugar you eat, the more you feed the sugar-seeking microbes. The more they grow, the louder their signal becomes. You might think you're choosing that donut because you like the taste, but in reality, you might be responding to a chemical SOS signal sent by a trillion starving microbes that have hijacked your reward system. How exactly do these tiny organisms talk to a giant? They use the language of neurochemistry. Your gut microbes are prolific chemists, capable of producing a huge array of substances that affect the human brain. Remarkably, about 95% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of happiness and well-being, is produced in the gut, often with the help of microbes. They also produce dopamine, the reward chemical. When the sugar-loving microbes get what they want, they can trigger a release of these feel-good chemicals, giving you a sense of euphoria and calm. Conversely, when they are deprived, they can produce toxins or metabolites that make you feel anxious, irritable, or foggy. This is a form of biological coercion. They reward you for eating what they want and punish you for withholding it. It's not just a physical craving, it's an emotional one. This chemical warfare explains why a sugar craving can feel so urgent and why your mood can shift so dramatically based on what you've eaten. The vagus nerve is the physical link that allows this manipulation to happen in real time. Scientists have found that microbes can directly stimulate the vagus nerve to send signals that alter our eating behavior. By sending hunger signals to the brain, they can override our natural satiety hormones, the ones that tell us we are full. Imagine your stomach is actually at capacity, but your microbes are sending a high-priority alert through the vagus nerve saying, "We need glucose immediately." Your brain receives this as a legitimate signal of hunger, specifically for something calorie-dense. This is why you can feel full after a large meal, but still have a distinct, localized craving for dessert. It's a targeted strike on your decision-making centers. By bypassing your conscious thoughts and going straight to the ancient, instinctual parts of your brain, these microbes can make a sugary snack feel like a survival necessity rather than a choice. This process creates what we call the cravings cycle. It starts with the consumption of a high-sugar food. This causes a rapid spike in blood glucose, providing a feast for opportunistic bacteria. In response, they release dopamine, making you feel temporarily satisfied. However, as your insulin levels rise to handle the sugar, your blood glucose eventually crashes. This is the moment of vulnerability. As the sugar supply dwindles, the microbes begin to send signals of distress. You start to feel tired, unfocused, and intensely hungry for more sugar. Most people blame their blood sugar levels for this crash, and while that's part of it, the microbial demand is the hidden driver. They are amplifying the signal, making the craving feel more intense than a simple drop in energy should feel. You aren't just hungry, you are being prompted by an entire population of organisms that are demanding their next meal. Breaking this cycle requires more than just willpower. It requires changing the population of your internal city. The modern Western diet is a paradise for sugar-loving microbes, but a wasteland for the diverse, beneficial species we evolved with. Processed foods, stripped of fiber and loaded with refined sugars and artificial sweeteners, act like a selective pressure. They favor the growth of a few dominant, aggressive species while starving out the peacekeepers that usually regulate our appetite and mood. When we eat a diet low in plant diversity, we are essentially firing our internal security guards. Without the fiber-loving bacteria to produce short-chain fatty acids, which naturally suppress appetite and improve insulin sensitivity, the sugar seekers have free rein. Furthermore, artificial sweeteners can be even more disruptive. While they have no calories, some studies suggest they can still alter the microbiome in ways that promote glucose intolerance and keep the craving pathways active. We have created an environment where our internal ecosystem is perpetually skewed toward the very foods that make us unhealthy. Have you ever felt hangry?
That specific mix of hunger and anger isn't just a funny personality trait, it's a biological state. When your microbes aren't getting the sugar they want, they can influence your behavior to make you more impulsive. Research in animal models has shown that changing the gut microbiome can significantly alter personality traits, including levels of anxiety and social behavior. In humans, an overgrowth of sugar-dependent microbes can lead to a state of constant low-level inflammation. This inflammation affects the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic, planning, and impulse control. Essentially, your microbes can turn down the volume on your rational brain and turn up the volume on your instinctual brain. This makes it much harder to say no to the candy bar at the checkout counter. You aren't just fighting a habit, you are fighting a biological shift that has temporarily rewired your decision-making process to favor immediate microbial gratification over long-term health.
The good news is that your microbiome is incredibly plastic. It can change rapidly based on what you feed it. You can't just will the cravings away, but you can change the voters in the election. To reclaim control, you have to starve the sugar seekers and feed the fiber lovers. This starts with a diverse range of plant foods. Every different type of vegetable, fruit, legume, and whole grain provides a different kind of prebiotic fiber that feeds a specific beneficial strain of bacteria. As these beneficial strains grow, they produce chemicals that naturally reduce inflammation and signal to the brain that you are satisfied. Fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir can also introduce probiotics, beneficial live bacteria, to help restore balance. It's important to understand that there will be a transition period. When you first cut back on sugar, the sugar-loving microbes will scream for a few days, leading to intense cravings. But if you hold firm, those populations will dwindle, their signal will weaken, and your natural appetite regulation will return. As your microbiome shifts, something remarkable happens. The brain fog clears, your energy levels stabilize, and the frantic, urgent nature of your cravings begins to fade. This isn't just about weight loss, it's about mental clarity and emotional stability. When your internal ecosystem is balanced, you no longer feel like a slave to your next snack. You might find that you actually start to crave the very foods that feed your beneficial microbes: bitter greens, complex grains, and fermented vegetables. Your taste buds literally change as the microbes that dominate your gut change. You are essentially building a new self from the inside out. This transformation is a testament to the power of the gut-brain axis. By nurturing your internal garden, you are giving your brain the chemical environment it needs to function at its best. You are moving from being a puppet to being the conductor of your own biological orchestra. We like to think of ourselves as the masters of our destiny, but we are never truly alone. Every choice we make about what to eat is a vote for which microbes we want to live within us. Understanding the secret influence of the microbiome doesn't take away our agency. It gives us a new tool to manage our health. The next time you feel an overwhelming urge for something sweet, take a moment to pause. Recognize that this signal might not be coming from you, but from a population of microbes looking for a quick fix. By choosing to feed your beneficial bacteria instead, you are taking the first step toward reclaiming your mind and your body. You are a complex, beautiful ecosystem, and you have the power to decide who thrives within you. Listen to your gut, but remember, you are the one who chooses who gets to speak. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the microscopic world. Choose your food wisely, for you are feeding more than just yourself.